Order. I say again to both sides of the House, please. I've called the member John Boscawen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister for Climate Change Issues and asks, what will be the cost applied to the average dairy herd by the emissions trading scheme from 1 July this year?
Mr. Speaker. Dr. Nick Smith.
Mr. Speaker, dairy herd methane emissions have grown from 5,000 million tonnes in 1990 to 9,000 million tonnes today. Although this is a cost to New Zealand under the Kyoto Protocol, it is not being borne by farmers. This government has deferred entry of agriculture for 2 years because of the competitiveness issues. Dairy farmers, like all New Zealanders, will face a price impact for fuel of 3.5 cents per litre and power of 1.2 cents per kilowatt hour from 1 July. This cost was halved by National's moderation of the ETS. The cost of the ETS for dairy companies is estimated to be 1.8 cents per kg of milk fat. This amounts to $2,100 for MAF's model farm on an average milk income of $820,000 or 0.2% of turnover.
Supplementary, Mr. Speaker. To the Minister of Climate Change, how does the Minister reconcile his answer with Meat and Wool New Zealand's analysis that the emissions trading scheme will cost the average dairy farmer $3,900 per annum from 1 July this year, a further $3,900 per annum from 1 January 2013, and finally $2,400, or a total of $10,200 per annum from 1 January 2015.
Mr. Speaker, I'd make 3 points. The first is I haven't seen the analysis that the member has referred to, but I'd note that the largest emissions from farms are those for methane and nitrous oxide, and that they are not to be applied from the 1st of July. In fact, this government has deferred them by 2 years. In respect of the cost for fuel and power, the cost for a dairy farmer will be exactly the same as for all New Zealanders. In respect of the analysis I have seen, is that the cost to dairy companies will actually be 1.8 cents per kg milk fat, what is I think at the moment is 680 cents per kg milk fat is the price, or 0.2% of a dairy farmer's turnover.
Chris Auchinvole.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the Minister, what advice has the Minister received on the overall costs of the ETS to consumers and businesses in its first year, and how does this compare to the value of the allocation this year to the forestry sector?
Mr. Speaker, the overall cost to consumers and businesses of the ETS in the first year would be $400 million. It is estimated, though, that in the same first year, $1.1 billion will be allocated in carbon credits to the forest sector. By honouring commitments to give credits to the forestry sector and softening the cost to consumers and businesses, the government will be making a significant loss on the ETS. Those advocating deferring the ETS need to acknowledge that they would be interfering in the property rights of foresters who in good faith have planted trees since 1990, thus offsetting New Zealand's 23% increase in gross emissions.
Question number 7, the Honourable David Parker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.